Okay, what I'm about to show you is, for many bass players, one of, if not the, most difficult exercise and challenge that you'll ever be given on bass. And I've seen this provided by more academic tutors again and again. And here's the most ridiculous part of the exercise. This is probably the easiest exercise that you could ever play on a piano. So it's the hardest for bass players, but it's the easiest for pianists. So what gives? So let's look at the exercise. I'll play it, then show you how to approach it, and hopefully improve your fretboard knowledge in the process. So here's the exercise. I want you to play all the notes of each major scale and minor scale, starting at the lowest note on the bass that's available to the highest note on the bass and back. You know, sounds easy. Can you do that? As an example, here's that exercise applied to a C major scale. So we take the C major scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. I start at the lowest note that I can on this bass, which is an open E string. I work through those notes, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, notes of the C major scale, all the way up the bass to the highest note that I can reach, which is going to be a D at the 19th fret of the G string. This is a Fender Precision. I've got a 20 fret neck, so, you know, if you've got a 24 fret neck, you'd be able to go beyond that up to a G, but we get all the way up to that D, and then we come back down. Now, remember what I said. On a piano, it's ridiculously easy. For the C major scale, we just play all the white notes, and, you know, we could literally start anywhere on the piano and it would all be laid out for us. You can play it with one finger. Ding, 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 ding. It's just the same pattern repeated octave upon octave. But on bass, players always fall into the trap of learning a scale like this. So let's say it's the major scale. They're going to sit there, go, you know, give me the tab, man. Then you sit there looking at the A string, 3, 5, D string, 2, 3, 5, G string, 2, 4, 5. Easy, man. Look, ma, I can play a major scale. And, you know, all right, play it in G. Okay, I'll find a G, there's a G. Same pattern, one octave. You know, F. Same thing, just moved around. But that's not learning every key. In fact, it's not learning a key. It's not really learning the major scale. It's not learning anything but a basic fretboard pattern with absolutely no regard for musical application. And in one octave, you know, you're not moving through octaves. Yes, you can move that one octave pattern around to other keys, but moving up and down the fretboard both horizontally and vertically with complete fluidity is totally different. And no, that's not what modes are for. Modes are nothing to do with learning the major scale up and down the fretboard, no matter what you've been told, but I'll leave that annoying myth for another day. So, how do we learn to play this exercise on bass? Well, there are many factors at play, especially if you're going to play the scales with maximum fluency at speed. The first thing I would say is learn the scales by note. Don't rely solely on patterns. Patterns are fine, and you really can't avoid them. You know, your brain looks for patterns in everything, like, you know, including clouds. But learning by note is going to give you a way better foundation to build from, regardless of the patterns you might learn after. And yes, I know, I've said this before, you know, you start learning by note, and instantly there's a certain number of people watching this are going to be like, oh no, not notes. I hate spelling, but, you know, it's just a few letters. So, if we're going to play this line in C major, what are the notes of the C major scale? Well, there are no sharps or flats, it's just all natural notes. So, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Easy. You know, that wasn't too hard, was it? C, D, E, F, G, A, B. No sharps or flats to think of, you just recite the alphabet from C. So, now we have to know our starting point. Well, we'd like it to be on E so we can start on the open E string, but what if the scale had an E flat in it? Well, then F is going to be the starting point. So it's all going to be a case of learning which scales have E's and which have E flats. And there's a clue, but I'll leave it for you to work out. You know, make some lists. So for C major, if you know the notes and you have a good knowledge of the notes on the neck, then it's just a case of picking them out in whatever order that you want. So we could play it, you know, in any kind of random order. So we could play E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, you know, just picking them out. Or maybe we work across all the way to the G string and then just run up the G string. You get up to that G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, or maybe up the A string. So E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. You know, you can just pick the notes out. If you know the notes on the neck and you know the notes of the scale, well, you're kind of sorted. But, and this is a big but, that doesn't necessarily mean you can play it fluidly up and down at speed. When we learn a major scale in one octave, we don't continually play it up one string, do we? So if we were to play a C major scale, we don't always play C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, up and down. That's a valid way to play it, but it's not the most efficient way. It's a lot more efficient to move vertically across the strings. There are less position shifts, in fact there's no position shifts, and it's all there under the fingers. Minimal movement is always best, so, that's an efficient way of playing it. The same thing applies to a 2-octave scale. It pays to work on a progressive set of shifts working up and down the fretboard. You don't want to play across the strings and then jump up the G string. It's an efficient way of playing. We want to be able to move smoothly up the fretboard. The same applies to our total fretboard exercise. We want a progressive fingering that we can drill over and over for maximum fluidity. The fingering that we're going to use today looks like this. So to begin with, let's just look at the fingering there. Let's just learn it as a line to begin with, then we'll look at the positions. So we start on the open E string and then we move up E, F, G. Okay, so first fret and third fret. Then we move on to the A string. We've got the open A string, B and C, and then the D. Okay. So on that A string, we've got the open string, second, third, and fifth frets. Okay, so that's our first part. And then we make a position shift with the first finger up to the E. So we've moved up to the E again. So this is the 7th fret of the A string. So we've got E, F, G, and then we continue in that position, A, B, C. So that's going to be 7th, 8th, and 10th fret on the E A string, and then the 7th, 9th, and 10th fret on the D string. And then we make another shift with the 4th finger from that C up to the D at the 12th fret. Then we play E, F, G. So that's 9th, 10th, and 12th frets on the G string. Then we make another position shift with the first finger up to the A, the 14th fret, and then B, C. So 14th, 16th, and 17th frets, and then again move with the 4th finger up to the 19th fret, and that's the ascent. Then we have the descent, and we're going to use a slightly different fingering on the way down. So we've made it to that D there. Then we play the C and the B with the second and first fingers, and then make the position shift down with the first finger. It always helps to either use the 4th finger or the first finger when you're making position shifts. Okay, so we're down to the A. Then we're going to continue down onto the D string instead of shifting down the G string. G, F, E. So that's going to be the 17th, 15th, and 14th frets there. Then we make our shift down with the 4th finger down to the D at the 12th fret of the D string. D, C, B, so 12, 10, and 9. Then we shift with the first finger down to the 7th fret. So then we play G, F, E, so that's 10th, 8th, and 7th frets. Then we make a shift again with the 4th finger down to the D at the 5th fret of the A string. D, C, B, open A, so that's going to be 5th, 3rd, 2nd, and open string on the A string. And then we're right down onto the G, F, E again at the bottom, 3rd, 1st fret, and the open string on the E string. So that's the ascent, and then coming back down. Okay, so that's the fingering, but is there a way to break that line down and see how it works in terms of the positions? And yes, patterns. Well, what we're going to do here is split the neck up into a few general areas. We have this low area from the open string up to roughly the 5th or 6th frets. Then we have a mid area from the 7th fret up to roughly around the 12th fret. Then we repeat those two positions. So we've got that position and that position. Remember, the open string is a repetition, the 12th fret is a repetition of the open string, so we're just repeating them there. But to be honest, on a 20 fret bass like this, I would see all of that as one main area, one position. So there I've got low, mid, and high, pretty much. So now let's look at our basic C major fretboard pattern in 1 octave. We can play it in this low area here, starting at the 3rd fret of the A string. So we've got, so that's just like good old C major fretboard pattern. So 3rd, 5th frets on the A string, 2nd, 3rd, and 5th frets on the D string, 2nd, 4th, and 5th frets on the G string. But I'm guessing you all know that. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So there it is, and then we can move up into this mid area. And what's the lowest C that we're going to find there? Well, it's going to be at the 8th fret of the E string, and again we play the same pattern. And then we can move up into this higher position, and again we need the lowest C that we can find there. Well, it's going to be the C at the 15th fret of the A string. So that's our 3 1 octave patterns. So that's a start. And now we're just going to extend those areas a little. So in this low area, we can't go any higher, but we can come down, so we can play the B and the A on the A string, so 2nd fret and open string, and then the G, F, and E down on the bottom. So, okay, so if you were to look at that C, B, A down here, that 3rd fret, 2nd fret, and open string on the A string, it's a repetition of C, B, A up here at the 5th, 4th, and 2nd frets of the G string. So there's, in terms of a geometric pattern on the fretboard, you got that, and then you've got it again down here. Then for the G, F, E, on that 2nd line, let's say on the D string, we've just played the same thing again down the octave. So when you can see these two strings as a lower octave repeat of those top two, it makes a lot more sense, you know, thinking pattern-wise. So just try playing up the scale, back down, and then continue down to the open E string, and then come back. Or just run it round. Next, let's extend this mid area. So remember what we had? There's that 1 octave major scale there, starting at the 8th fret. Well, remember we have the B at the 7th fret just below, so we've got that there. But let's say we come up to the C there at the 10th fret of the D string. Well, then we can shift with that 4th finger to the D at the 12th fret, and then E, F, G up on the top. So we're filling in some of those notes in that area. So remember, we move up from the 10th fret to the 12th fret of the D string with the 4th finger, and then 1st, 2nd, and 4th fingers for the 9th, 10th, and 12th frets on the G string. So we've got a few more notes to play with, a little bit more real estate in that area. Okay, so just try playing round and round on that, and when you descend, don't descend with the 4th finger. That always feels a little bit weird moving down 2 frets like that. When you come down, drop with the 1st finger from the A to the B. So, okay. And that gives us that middle position. And then in this higher position, we just repeat what we did down here in the low position. So here's our 1 octave scale, and then we can just drop down with that 1st finger. So we play the B at the 14th fret there of the A string, drop it down to the A there, the 12th fret. So that's going to be the same as that open string there. And then we have G, F, and E there, 15th, 13th, and 12th frets on the E string. So up. Use the 1st finger to come down to the A, and then you can come back up. And when you come back up and you reach the C again, you can use the 4th finger to move up to the D and put your back in position. So again, we're using the first finger for the descending position shift, and we're using the fourth finger for the ascending position shift. Whoops. And to just extend it a little bit further, to get up to that high D, what we can do is when we reach the A up at the top, we shift, or we reach the C up with the fourth finger, and then we just move it up to the D at the 19th fret. So let's say we work up, we can shift up with that fourth finger up to the D, and then descend again using that first finger from the B down to the A. And then just continue down. So you've got quite a bit of movement. You've got two position shifts up in this higher area. He says missing the position shift on the D. Be careful when you reach up to that D, because we're in a smaller confined area. You might have noticed there I was scuffing it on the D up at the top. Okay, so that's the three positions that we've got there. We're starting down here in this low area. Mid. And in the top area. So now we have our C major scale in those areas, we can try moving between the positions. So first let's try moving between the low position and the mid position. And we'll start at the low E, we'll come up, and then we'll transition on the A string. So we come up, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, then move with the first finger into this mid position. So we reach the E there, and then we can continue up. So remember, we had this mid area here, we're just joining it at the E. So try and visualize that whole area in the middle, and then just continue up as we did when we played in that middle area. So we're starting at the low E, shift, continue, come down, and then shift down again after playing the E on the descent, shift down to the D with the fourth finger, and down. Okay, and you could also try transitioning with that D string, just using that D string as the doorway. So we start at the open E again, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then shift on the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then back down, come down, and then you can transition on that D. It'd be a little bit weird transitioning on the D string there on the descent. So on the descent, you probably want to still come down on the A, but the point being that we've got a doorway here. We're using doorways on each string to move from one position to the other. And you could also try moving from the mid position to the high position. So you can work up. You could come up on the D string, shift up to the E. You could come up on the A string. But in our total fretboard exercise, we're just coming up on the G string. So there's the transition from the G to the A, and then all the way up to that D, okay? So in our total fretboard coverage exercise, we're starting at the open E, we're coming up through that position that I showed you down in that low area, we're making the transition on the A string into that mid area, we come all the way up, and then we make the transition on the G string, up to the D, come back down, but then we stay in that high position because we don't really want to be making so many position shifts in quick succession, because otherwise we're going to be doing loads on that G. So when we come down, take your time, just relax in that area, come down on the D string instead, then make the transition down into that mid area on the D, C, B, A, and that's how we come down. So once you've worked on those patterns in isolation in each of those areas, when it comes to playing through this exercise, what did start out as just looking like a sequence of notes that you just have to see on the fly, just C, D, E, F, G, A, B, just working through, looking at the notes on the neck, trying to work it out as you go. Instead of doing that, we're actually creating a line, a progressive line that works all the way up the fretboard and back with completely efficient fingering. Okay, and you can see those positions as you move through them. There's that low position, mid position, high position. You should be able to see it under your fingers as you move. You should also see the scale degrees of those scales and the notes. Like I said, you always want to be able to see the notes. As I'm moving up, I'm not just seeing a finger pattern. I'm seeing E, F, G, A, B, C, D. But it's just that we've worked out a line, a progressive fingering, so that I can move through quicker. So I've got the breadcrumbs that I can work back through from the top. We've got a nice path to follow rather than just trying to work it out as you go. Now, like I said, the aim is to play this exercise through every major and minor key. But there's work to do before that's possible. Every key is different. You can't just learn this line as a pattern and then shift it to a different fret and, hey presto. It doesn't work like that. You have to learn every key in turn. Learn it by note, learn the whole fingering. And as luck would have it, this is just one of the exercises presented in my book, The Cyborg Bassist. Yes, you knew it was coming. There was always going to be a sales pitch at the end. Oh, the beauty of online marketing. The Cyborg Bassist is a series of books dedicated to etudes and drills like this one that will allow you to master the entire fretboard. There are a wide variety of melodic sequences that I present in every key as etudes through multiple octaves. The exercise that we've covered here is just one of the etudes that we run through all of the keys. And there are 96 etudes in each of the 2 volumes available at the moment. So volume 1 covers all the major scales and keys, and volume 2 was released this weekend and covers all the minor scales and keys. There's also an 8-lesson video course accompanying each book, and the books are available as digital copies only at the moment, so you download them as ebook PDFs. If you want to print them out, that's fine, but you can also read them on tablets, Kindles, mobile devices, and computers. So there's a 25% discount on the ebook this release week, so grab a bargain while it lasts. There's a link to both books in the description below, and I'll see you next week.